What if one day you woke up and everything you thought was real wasn't quite what it seemed? What if you suddenly understood that light exists only because of darkness, that joy is defined by sorrow, that your very existence requires something else to mirror it, that death, far from being the end, is what gives life its meaning, and vice versa? And in that awakening, you no longer felt like a stranger walking this earth, no longer some misplaced traveler tossed into a universe by random chance, but instead, you felt something deeper, something ancient stirring inside you, a realization that your presence here is not accidental, but essential. Now, I'm not here to convince you. I'm not selling truth. I'm inviting you to explore a possibility, just to play with the idea. Let it roll around in your mind like a stone in a stream. Imagine for a moment that every night when you sleep, you have the power to dream any dream you desire. No limits. You could dream an entire lifetime in a single night, 75 years, 100, even 1,000. And at first, of course, you'd dream of joy, of pleasure, of every wish fulfilled. Kingdoms, lovers, endless laughter, no pain, no fear. And after a few nights, you might say, "This is wonderful, but what if I didn't know what would happen next?" You'd ask for a surprise, a little risk, a little thrill, a story where you're not in control. So you'd dream that. You'd place yourself into uncertainty, into challenge, and you'd wake up from that dream saying, "Wow, that was intense." And you'd keep going further. More danger, more mystery. Until one night, you dream exactly the life you're living right now. Yes, this one. With all its pain and beauty. With all its ordinary mornings and aching questions. With the people you love. With the things you fear. You dream it all. Because in the infinite sea of choices, this version, this very moment, would be one of the most courageous dreams you could ever choose. Why? Because the divine part of you, the eternal self, the God within, doesn't want to always be in control. It wants to forget, to lose itself, to become human for a while, to pretend it's not infinite. That's the game, the grand game. You see, according to ancient wisdom, the highest self, what some call God, isn't a ruler sitting on a golden throne. It is you, not in your ego or your body, but in the quiet depth beneath it all. The self that plays pretend, the one who hides behind your name, your memories, your fears. You're not separate from that source. You are it. You've simply become so good at the game of being you that you forgot. You act out fear, you wrestle with doubt, you feel small, but behind the curtain, you are vast. You are playing limitations so that the moment you wake up, it feels miraculous. The Hindus call this divine play Leela, the theater of the cosmos. The self becomes the many. It fragments itself into stars, rivers, faces, birds, thoughts, just to find itself again. Every life, every tear, every kiss is the infinite remembering itself in disguise. And in this play, you've chosen to wear the mask of a single person, to live as someone unique, someone struggling, growing, laughing, grieving. You chose this perspective so that when you awaken, it feels real. That's the brilliance of the game. You forget, so you can rediscover. You lose, so you can be found. When you go to a play, you know the actors are pretending, but you still cry when the story moves you. You laugh when they joke. You feel suspense even though you know it's not real. That's the magic of performance. And life is no different. This world is a grand stage, and you are both actor and audience. Creator and creation. The Hindus use the word Maya not to mean illusion in the sense of a lie, but illusion as art, as magic. The divine illusion, the miracle of forgetting who you are, just so you can remember. So the self becomes all things, every flower, every child, every storm, every joy, every pain. It doesn't do this to reach a goal, but simply for the joy of being. It dances, It sings. It falls and rises again. That's the rhythm. That's the point. The music of existence is not about a destination. It's about the experience itself. This is why the self plays the game of life across countless forms and countless worlds. The Hindus describe 6 realms of existence: the gods basking in pleasure, the tortured realms of suffering, the angry spirits trapped in conflict, the animals ruled by instinct, the ghosts of endless craving, and the human world, where mind and emotion walk side by side. The wheel spins on, samsara, the endless cycle of birth and death, rise and fall. Each time, the self dons a new mask, a new part to play. But no role can last forever. Even joy fades, even suffering passes. Success turns to dust, failure into growth. And so, eventually, the self seeks something beyond the wheel. That is moksha, liberation, not escape, but awakening, to see the dream for what it is. Beautiful, yes. Meaningful, absolutely. But still a dream. Everything decays, empires collapse, bodies wither, names are forgotten. But this isn't tragedy. It's liberation. The impermanence of all things is not their weakness. It's their poetry. Nothing lasts. And that is the gift. Because when you see through the illusion, life becomes a dance again. The wheel is no longer a prison, but a carousel of wonders. And you? You are the one at the center. The dreamer, the dancer, the artist and the art. You never lost your way. You were simply playing, and so the sages whisper, wake up. Enjoy the play, but do not be deceived by it. Take your role seriously, but never forget who you truly are. For beyond all these cycles, past all illusions and identities, there waits a deeper knowing, the truth that you are the one who dreamed it all into being. This world, it slips through your fingers like smoke, like fog fading in the morning sun. Nothing here stays. Not kingdoms, not bodies, not dreams. Everything dissolves. Everything returns to the silence it came from. And though that might sound like sorrow, it isn't. It's the very heart of beauty. Because what fades is what sings. What vanishes is what shines. Even Shakespeare saw this when he wrote of actors melting into air, towers crumbling, and palaces dissolving into thin mist. We are such stuff as dreams are made of, he said, and our little life is rounded with a sleep. So the wise don't resist it. They don't clutch at the world or fight the flow of time. They let go. Because they understand, it is precisely because things are fleeting that they are precious. The Hindu saying goes, life is a bridge. Cross over it, but do not build your house upon it. So dance on this bridge. Laugh on it. Love while you're here, but don't try to make it permanent. Don't try to freeze the river. Let the waves come, let them crash, let them pass. Even the skull grinning in the grass. Yes, even death itself is smiling. It knows the secret, that it's just another costume, another act in the play. And the wise see this, and they laugh too, not in despair, but in deep, eternal joy. Don't try to trap the world in place. Don't try to hold the wind in your hand. Let it move. Let it vanish. Let it return. Because the beauty of everything lies in its coming and going, and the one who truly sees that dances through life lightly, free, fearless, and enchanted by the show. That is why the Hindu laughs. Not because life is meaningless, but because he sees the meaning behind the illusion. He sees that the world is a glorious game, a sacred play, an ever-shifting tapestry. He doesn't cling, he doesn't chase, he lets it flow. He watches the divine magician at work, and he knows, in every face, every creature, every fleeting moment, God is hiding behind his own mask. The beloved pretending not to be the beloved. So when the guru looks into your eyes with that strange smile, he's not judging your sins or your secrets. Numbari sees something much deeper. He sees you. The real you, the self behind the name, the eternal behind the act. And he wonders, gently, why are you still pretending? He smiles, as if to say, come on, I know who you are. That's why the hands come together in greeting, not in fear, but in reverence, because we recognize the divine in each other, even when it's hidden beneath layers of masks. This is not worship of some distant, angry god. This is reverence for the playful, dancing, laughing one who needs no thought to move. Just like you don't need to think about growing your hair. So the Hindu smiles and plays along, knowing the forms will shift, the world will change, fall apart, and be born again. Yet the self remains, untouched, undying. And in that vision, there is no fear, no desperation, only a wild delight in the grand masquerade. That is why the sage smiles, why he bows, why he laughs as he walks through the illusion, not trapped by it. Liberation, moksha, is nothing more than waking up. It's not rejecting the dream, it's recognizing it, seeing through the masks and illusions to the truth of who you are. You are the one who chose to forget, the one who wrote the story, painted the sky, and decided to play a part for a while. You wandered through pleasure and pain, through joy and sorrow, not for punishment, but for the wonder of the experience. To awaken is not to leave the game, but to play it with eyes open, to laugh at the twist in the plot, to cry with the characters, but to always know deep in your heart that you are the one writing the script. The wheel of life still turns, faces come and go, the curtain rises and falls. But now you are no longer chained to it, you see it clearly, and because of that, you are free. You don't clutch at shadows, you don't tremble before change. You smile, like the sage smiles, because you remember the dance, and you know the dancer. That is moksha, not running from life, but no longer being imprisoned by it. Not destroying desire, but no longer being ruled by it. To walk through the world as a sacred player, bowing to every form, knowing it is your own. So the wise do not build their homes on the bridge. They walk across it with joy, with wonder, with trust in the current beneath their feet. Because they know there is nowhere the self is not. And in that knowing, they discover something endless, something blissful, the joy of the one who forever plays at being many. Because behind every role you've played, every story you've told yourself, there has always been the same presence, the same sacred spark, the same actor, slipping from mask to mask, laughing, crying, breaking its own heart, just to feel alive, to forget so completely, to suffer so convincingly, only to awaken one day and realize the suffering was part of the laughter, not separate from it, never was. And here you are, dreaming the dream of being someone, of trying to make sense of the chaos, of chasing meaning, avoiding pain, hoping that somewhere it all leads to something. But it's okay, truly, because if everything were obvious from the start, where would the magic be? So you forget, you fall in love, you get lost, you laugh, you suffer. And somewhere in all of it, you might glimpse the truth, that you were never outside the story, that you were always the dreamer behind the dream, always the one hiding behind every mask. This game of hide and seek is divine, and there's no need to rush. The play will go on, the curtain will fall and rise again. Another act, another mask. Still you, always you. So go on, dance your part, feel it all. But remember this one thing, don't take it too seriously. After all, it's only a dream.